Hey guys, this is a therapist task guide for shortage. For this task, we do have to find 3 of these Salewa first aid kits in raid and then hand them over to therapist. So the first thing that I will mention that may end up helping somebody is that you do not actually have to hand in full HP Salewas in order to count for this task. You can actually find them in a raid and then use them throughout that same raid, and as long as they still have 1 HP left, then you can turn them in and it will count towards the task. So also, while working towards this task, then you will have 2 options in order to get your hands on a found in raid Salewa, which will include either finding them in a raid on your PMC or scav, or you can also craft it in the med station level 1, which in order to get the med station level 1, it will cost you 50k rubles, as well as 1 disposable syringe, 1 pile of meds, 2 aseptic bandages, and then 1 bottle of multivitamins. But once you do have it constructed, in order to craft in the med station, then you will also need the power, which does require you to have built your security level 1, as well as your generator level 1, and also to have fuel placed inside of your generator. But once you do have all of these requirements, then you have the ability to craft 1 Salewa first aid kit at a time, which will require 2 of the S-Mark tourniquets, as well as 2 car first aid kits, and it does take 39 minutes to craft. Now, if you don't want to craft these Salewas, then there are going to be multiple different loot crates around each map that are available to you to have a chance to spawn these Salewas, and these include ground and buried barrel caches, as well as 5x2 weapon boxes, wooden crates, sports bags, medical supply crates, as well as med bags. However, it is important to note that Salewas do not spawn inside of med cases, so you will never actually be able to find them inside of those. They just are not available inside of the loot pool for the med cases. And I did want to clarify this because every other guide that I have seen regarding this task has suggested that you guys loot these cases on your route for the possibility of getting a Salewa. However, even though they will never end up giving you a Salewa, you do still have the chance to get a Ledex or a morphine injector, which both can be used for different tasks in the future. But I just wanted you guys to be aware, as it may help some people to be more efficient during their task runs. Now, while you are checking for Salewas on each map, then I would actually recommend that you just do this passively at first while working on your other tasks, since you should always try to combine and work on as many tasks as possible during your raids. But if you do find that you just can't find them and that you are feeling like you are falling behind on your therapist tasks, then that is when I would prioritize them and then hunt specifically for Salewas to catch up. However, typically with this being one of your initial early game tasks, you will notice that almost all of the med spawn locations are going to be completely picked over pretty thoroughly, since everybody is going to be on the same task. So another thing to remember is that when you do eliminate other PMCs or player scavs, it's definitely worth checking them for a found in raid Salewa, since they may have brought one for you as well. Now, mostly we will be tasking on woods and customs early on, so I will try to give you guys some suggestions in terms of where to look for on both these maps, instead of just telling you to go and loot crack house like most of the guides out there. I like to try and provide you guys with a few different options and also some areas that are a little bit less traveled for you guys, since crack house is going to be an absolute war zone for the first month of wipe, with everyone rushing there in order to get their med spawn. So especially if you are new to the game or not very confident in your PvP, then I will try and give you guys some other options. So starting with woods, then there are 2 main areas that I have a lot of luck when searching for Salewas, and the first one is going to be at the med camp area in the south portion of the map. And this area does have several medical bags, as well as medical supply crates and loose medical loot spawns. Usually this area is very contested at the beginning of every raid, so your chance of finding a Salewa if you don't get one of the close spawns is going to be low. But since there are so many spawns now, as well as with the addition of dynamic loot, then there is always the chance that a spawn was missed. So I will be showing you guys in the background some places that I tend to check when coming to this med camp area. But like I said, with the new dynamic loot spawns, it is impossible for me to tell you where every single spawn is, because we literally just don't know them all yet. So it is going to be best for you guys to check all the possible spawns during your own raid, but the typical places that I would check in here are going to be on the left of the front entrance on these shelves, and then the med bags are going to be at the end of this row as well. You will also have some spawns all throughout the makeshift connexes in here on both sides, as well as on top of any of these tables all throughout the med camp. You will also have a spawn inside of the open connex that does have all the covered bodies in it. There is a table at the end of this connex where there is a possible loose medical loot spawn. And there can also be a spawn in the back of the ambulances as well. And after I do check all these different places, then I always check at the tent at the back end of the camp. This area has several tables inside, and usually there is a med bag on the chair in the back. And in this area, then there can be a whole bunch of different loose medical loot spawns on all the tables, including Salewas or morphine injectors, as well as on this medical cart. There can also now be several different medical supply crates inside of this camp as well, so just be sure to go around and then check all these different wooden boxes and see if they are a medical supply crate or a ration crate or what they are. And while I am here, if it was unlooted, then I do also tend to check the ration supply crates as well to do double duty and see if I can find any of the food items that I will need for upcoming tasks that I will be unlocking once I am done this one. After finishing here, then the other secondary place on woods that I do make sure to check is going to be at Proper's Little Camp, which is going to be in the northwest part of the map up by the convoy. So I am actually going to teleport us up at the bigger USEC camp that does have the SUV and then the truck. And if we move over here towards the back of this camp, towards the big green tent, then inside of here, then there is going to be a medical supply crate. And once you have looted here, then it is a good idea to check next to the gurney on the right side, because this is a gold spawn, just in case you are here. After we do check here, then we are going to move over towards the smaller campsite, which is going to be on the opposite side of this big rock. And once we do head over here, then you will also see another tent, but on the far right side of this tent, then in the middle of this area, then you will see a gurney. At this gurney on top of the table, then you will have multiple loose medical spawns, both on top of the table as well as on the bottom of the table. And some of them do actually spawn inside of the gurney that are hidden unless you hover your mouse over it as well. You can find any medical item in the game here, which does include LEDXs, ophthalmoscopes, or grizzly medical kits, as well as Salewas. And this is definitely a location that I check all the time when I am in this area, just because there's high tier loot that's left behind here all the time, because people just don't realize that loot can spawn inside of the gurney as well as underneath the table. So after we've finished searching this area, then we will head down the hill and then in between the two bodies of water just to the right, and we are going to head over towards the convoy. Now this is the same convoy that we do have to find for the search mission proper task, which we'll get later on. And it is a good idea to check in and around the bodies that are all around the convoy, these 4 covered ones. I believe that there's 4 of them here. But when you are looking around the bodies, then there can actually be some loose medical loot, including Salewas or more morphine injectors that do spawn around here, which you can pick up towards this task or one in the future. Now, depending upon your spawn or extract, then there is one additional med bag that you can check that is going to be located at the back of the checkpoint SUV. And while you are here, I do recommend that you check the driver's seat for the violet keycard spawn, and then you can check for the med bag in the back of the SUV. Now, in my raid, of course, the med bag didn't spawn in for me to show you guys. And this is going to be all the different areas on woods that I do typically go to check for this task. So moving on to customs, we will have a route as though we are starting off on the backside of Big Red in the storage area. There is going to be a vehicle just inside of this storage section with the trunk sticking out, and inside of this trunk, when you do open it up, is going to be a medical bag for you to loot. This is just for your guys' knowledge in case you did end up spawning over here, or in case you are planning to extract over here. This way you can end up checking this car if you are over here in this area already. So now we'll be teleporting us over to one of the busiest areas on the map, especially at the beginning of a wipe. However, if you don't end up getting a close spawn to Crack House, then it probably will be pointless for you to go in there and loot, especially since somebody's probably just going to be ratting on the stairwell anyway. But I did want to make sure that I included the potential spawns for you guys, just so that in case you did end up getting the God spawn right next to it, that you will know where to go to look. So where you will end up wanting to go to loot is on the first floor, and once you enter in through the main entrance, then you are going to want to go left, and then you will see a medical container on the boxes on your left. But as we went over earlier, we know that the med cases are going to be pointless for Salewas, but there is also a covered body on the ground as well as a cart beside the body, and there is where the Salewas can end up spawning in here, both around the body and also on the cart. After checking this area, then we are going to head down the hallway. There is going to be some duffel bags inside of each of these rooms that we are going to pass on each side. However, for this video, we are going to bypass that, but feel free to stop in there on your own searches. There is also going to be a dead scav on the second doorway on your left. However, you can loot him through the blocked door, and there also is going to be a gold spawn on his body as well. But as we end up moving up the stairs, this is where we are going to be going for this task. We want to go into the large room on your right, and through this entire room, then there can be loose medical spawns, including Salewas or morphine injectors on any of the shelves or on any of the tables. So make sure that you want to check in here very well. And after we do check this entire area, then we do want to go out the far side of the room, and then you want to check on top of the sofa in this hallway, since I have had loose medical loot spawns on this couch as well. And then we want to go inside the room to the right of the sofa. Inside of this room, then you will have more loose medical loot on the boxes to the right, as well as on any of the shelves in here throughout the entire room. This will be the last place in Crack House for us to check, so moving out of Crack, then we will head towards the Fortress building, where we will have a few more spawns to check. Once we head into Fortress from the Crack House side, then we are going to go to the left, where there is going to be a little room in the corner, which has some medical container on the far bunk, as well as loose medical loot beside it, and also some other loose medical loot spawns on the other bed as well. And then usually I will head upstairs, where there are going to be several wooden crates in along the top section of the fortress, but almost always there is going to be one medical supply crate on the Crack House side in the middle area of the upper level. And then on the side closest to the old gas, then there is going to be a medical case that you can use to make sure that you're in the right place, which is going to be right next to a covered body. And then beside this covered body is again going to be where some loose medical loot can potentially spawn, which includes the Salewas or the morphine injectors. After I have finished here, then I will move over to the old gas area and then check the giving tree, as well as the medical bag that is just next to the giving tree in and around this little circular concrete thing. And once I have checked in these two places, then I will move into the old gas and then check on the tables here, since it does have the potential to spawn some very good items, just like the giving tree. Once I finish at Old Gas, then I am going to move over towards the power building and then head underneath the train bridge. And then we are going to be heading into the left side building, which is the power building. Once we head into the power building, then we are going to jump down in through the hole in the ground into the basement. And this area seems like it's not really known by many people, or that not many people bother to go down here. But when you are down there on your left-hand side, then you will notice a light. And then in front of the light, then you are going to notice on the ground a med case as well as a covered body. And there is also a chair, which on the chair you do have the chance for some loose medical loot as well as scattered around the body as well. Once I do loot here, then I will typically head back up the way that I came in and then go and check the warehouse number 3, which is the next available factory building. Inside of this warehouse, then I am checking on the shelves immediately to the right there, as they are called the giving shelves, and they are very similar to the giving tree where they can spawn some high tier items. And that does include Salewas. After checking in this area, then I am going to teleport us over towards the USEC building, which is right by the military checkpoint building. We will be able to go inside of this building and then go up the metal stairs on the right hand side, where there will be a medical bag just past the green screen side of the room. And we are going to be going into the back storage room in this area, and then the medical bag will be in the very back left on the bottom shelf. Once I do leave this area, I do always check the area that's underneath the green screen room side just by the truck, because these shelves do actually have the possibility to spawn a Salewa as well. I just actually forgot to add it into the video, so that's my bad. And once you do check here, then we are basically right next to the ZB11 extract, so then you can just go and extract and then reset. Now, another area that I will mention if you do have the gas station storage room key is going to be a med bag and also a med case inside of that room, which is located obviously inside of the gas station. So depending upon your spawn or where your raid ends up taking you, then you can definitely check out the new gas station if you do have the key and if you end up over there. And again, just remember that Salewas can also be on both AI as well as player scavs, and also on PMCs that you do eliminate, since they may have looted an area before you were able to get there. So just make sure to keep an eye out while looting bodies, since especially at the beginning of wipe, this is a very common theme that everyone is doing this task. And since we are all searching for the same thing, then we are all going to pick up this item, so it is very common to be on dead bodies. So hopefully you guys found this guide useful, and it does help you to be able to make some progress towards completing this task. Thank you guys for checking out my video, and if you are still here at the end, then I definitely appreciate you, and I hope that you have a fantastic rest of your day. So what you're seeing on the screen right now is just a couple of my different social links in case you guys wanted to connect more easily. I am primarily streaming on Twitch now multiple nights a week. So if you do want to connect with me or my community, that would probably be the easiest way to do so. And if you do come over to the Twitch and you want to join the Discord community, then just type !Discord or cord in the chat in order to get an invite link. And if you don't use Twitch, then I do have a link in the picture as well as a link below in the description. And we are growing and currently have an active and welcoming community with people of all experience and skill levels. So there will always be someone who could help to answer any questions that you may have. As always, thank you guys so much for stopping by and watching the video, and I hope that you have a fantastic rest of your day.